Mimic Matter. Let's get into it. Alright, so let's say you want to be an object in a game. Mimic Matter lets you do that, but why should you be an object in a game? There's a few reasons why you should. One of them is squeezing through tight spaces. So if I actually hop down over here to this security station, this is locked normally. I actually used Mimic Matter to get through here. One of the most basic tactics you can do with Mimic Matter. You can either look for a small object to copy, or if you do not have one nearby, you can always drop one of your items, especially a small item. So in this case, I'll just drop these brain pills. And what you can do is you can mimic those. You know, this works on any small object. It can be food, whatever. Then you can hop inside. You activate the ability again to end it. It will also end if you run out of psi. So just something to consider. You can use abilities while you are mimicking something. And you can also mimic operators once you get tier 3. This can be useful for exploration. So if I want to go fly around, I can do that. You can sprint. They do have, each operator is different. They have different attacks. One cool thing about this ability is if you have the Coral Psi regen ability, what you can do is you can actually sit in Coral and indefinitely mimic something. So it's quite useful. Let's see if I can activate this water. Alright, so you can't actually activate water as far as I can tell, so if you have Psi water, you're out of luck. But if you want to indefinitely be mimicked into something, you can just go to like a coral patch with the coral chipset, and you can just, you know, infinitely fly or whatever. And this works in space too, so. Alright, so it costs 10 to use. It has a 2 psi per second drain rate, and it has a 5-second cooldown. So the cooldown isn't really super relevant because you're not going to be spamming this. You're just going to use this like once or twice to mimic something for whatever reason. Usually it's utility. So let's go over some of the uses. So I already went over the squeezing through small spaces. There's some doors that are broken permanently, and you can't like pick up the pieces or recycle charge the door. So you can squeeze through those as well. You can also solve puzzles and interact with some objects while being a cup or whatever item you want to be. Let's go over the tiers really quick. Alright, so tier 1, you can take the form of any basic object. Tier 2, you can mimic a turret. And then tier 3, you can mimic an operator. So mimicking a turret is okay. You'll generally break really fast. Like what happens is when you are a turret or operator, you have like a new health pool separate from your own, and however much health that enemy, or in some cases turret, has, that's how much damage you can take before you will be reverted back to Morgan. So that's just something to consider. And you can always mimic a broken turret as well. So if there is a turret that's broken or an operator that's destroyed, you can mimic it and you'll actually be intact, which is pretty cool. So you can move around and jump while being an object. So for example, if I want to be this, you can kind of like roll, you can jump. You can cast psi abilities while mimicking, and enemies will not see you for the most part if you are sitting still. So if you are sitting still in some coral, what you can actually do, this one, some objects settle better, this one kind of rolls around a lot. So what you can do is you can actually like jump and like use abilities. So you can actually completely regen your psi while being hidden and then cast psi abilities on enemies, which is pretty strong. It's more of a gimmick and you're probably better off just using the abilities without doing this, but it is something you can do if you want to run like a sneak build where you're like mimicked as a cup or something and you're just killing enemies as like a cup or an apple or something stupid. You can totally do that. So aside from that, that's pretty much all there is to this. It's mostly used for utility to squeeze through things, but you can also use it for hiding. You can use it to be like a psi assassin that's just like a bag of fertilizer or something. So like if an enemy was nearby, I could just be like a bag of fertilizer killing things with my mind. So that's a thing you can do if you really feel so inclined. So overall, it's a great utility tool. It can be used to explore areas. It can be used for combat or to squeeze into tight spaces. You can also hide and cast psi abilities on enemies, which is actually viable, especially if you're standing in coral. And of course, you can always use psi water after you kill a few enemies and then go back to being whatever object you feel like it. So you can pretty much do whatever you want with this ability. It's not like optimal. Like if you're just trying to kill things, it's not optimal to be moving around as like an apple or a cup and like killing things with psi abilities. You can do it. The damage on the military operators laser beam is actually decent, but it's kind of awkward and hard to use. It's not like super hard to use, but I think the Q beam and just psi abilities are just better, so you're probably just better off doing that. Once you get psi water and the coral regen, psi is a non-issue, so you can literally just blow through psi points and just DPS enemies with like electrostatic burst and super thermal and things like this and kinetic blast. So at a certain point in the game, like mimicking things for damage is just not like, it's like a thing you can do if you want to, but I don't recommend it. And also you can always use things like Phantom Shift, and enemies will attack the Phantom for like the tier 2 Phantom for like 8 seconds, and you can just kill them all like at your own leisure. So yeah, I don't think it's like the best ability, but it's kind of funny to use, and it has some utility. But yeah, that's pretty much it for Mimic Matter. You can use it for exploration, getting through things, for combat as a meme, but that's pretty much it for it.